Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. We are back. Today we're going to be reacting to how a man's ego destroyed Telltale games. Now, I played The Walking Dead, I played The Wolf Among Us, and there was like another superhero one I think I played. The main problem with the Telltale games is that decisions didn't really matter. Or at least they didn't feel like they mattered or they had actual weight. At least later on in the games. Like the first games, I think they did. Like you could kill characters and shit. But not after that. Anyways, hope you've been having a good day. Let's get to
In
it.
2012, Telltale Games was on top of the world. The Walking Dead was a cultural phenomenon, revitalized.
First season, amazing. Second season, I think it was the van. The van, right? Or they're taking a van, they stop at a train or something. Third one is in the city. And that's the last good one, because that's wherein Lee died. After that, it's complete garbage. I didn't follow.
The adventure game genre and winning more than 80 Game of the Year awards. They were receiving offers
Deserved.
from some of the biggest IPs in the world, begging Telltale to make a game for them. But just 6
Oh
years
yeah, I've
later,
seen the Batman Telltale games. The one with the black woman who's like a police officer or whatever. In like the bridge with whatever.
they were bankrupt.
If you played it, you
Behind
know.
the scenes was one of the most grueling crunches in gaming history, and all of the issues pointing to one man and his insatiable ego. In 2011, Telltale Games was still a small indie studio. They were founded in 2004 after Troy Molander, Dan Connors, and Kevin Bruner left.
It's either this guy or this one, right? Just maybe this one. This guy looks like he has a big ego, right?
Left LucasArts to pursue their own projects. Known for point-and-click adventure games like Tales from Monkey Island and Sam & Max, the team at Telltale
That's a classic. Monkey Island actually had a not released, like a new game or something. Actually, no, it was in that pirate game.
earned
They had like a DLC with Monkey Island.
a reputation when they started turning existing IPs into games. Wallace and Gromit,
Classic? Or is that the another one? Is this the one with the chicken? Or
Jurassic
that
Park,
show? I don't
Back to
think
the
so,
Future,
actually.
and Law and Order. Yeah, a Law and Order video game exists.
Didn't
It
see
was
this
through
one.
these film and TV adaptations that Telltale received the opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to work on a game based on The Walking Dead. At the time, The Walking Dead was one of the biggest shows on television. Part drama, part survival horror. It had
Oh, the show came before the game. That's insane. Because my first Walking Dead, like actual like experience, was with the game. Well, and I'm talking like actual Walking Dead, like zombies. Sure, they have been like in stories forever.
all the elements needed to make a solid adventure game. But Telltale didn't want to just emulate what they'd done with previous titles, they wanted to do something special. When development started in 2011, a big trend in AAA games was consequential decision-making, putting players in a position where the choices they
Heavy Rain? Or is this Days Gone? No, Days Gone is the zombie one. With the motorcycle, I think. I think this should be Heavy Rain. Another classic. I won't spoil this one because I feel like this one's like a cult classic.
make
Where not a lot of people have played it. But yeah, this one's extremely good.
would have serious consequences down the road. Games like Mass Effect and Heavy Rain really let players shape the narrative. Choosing this option would lead to this person not trusting you. Saving one person would lead another to dying. Stuff like that. Telltale decided to go full bore into this kind of storytelling, and boy, did it work. As a game, The Walking Dead Season 1 was incredibly simple.
This part was super annoying. This is the supermarket where you have to like go behind and open like a door or whatever.
Essentially a graphic novel with QuickTime elements. But the storytelling was
When the racist granny or something.
gripping. The choices felt real. And overnight, the game took the world by storm. The first season released episodically, keeping the hype going for months, as people followed Lee and Clementine until the conclusion of Season 1 in November 2012. The game was easy enough to pick up that non-gamers could play it, and the consequential decision-making made each playthrough feel unique. With everything going for it, The Walking Dead Season 1 was not only one of the best-selling games of the year, it also won more than 80 Game of the Year awards. In 2012, the idea that a point-and-click adventure game could win Game of the Year was kind of shocking.
It's not point and click though, right? Or am I remembering wrong? I swear you could actually like move your character normally.
But to its credit, the game was really, really good. But while
Oh, actually, no, it was point and click. No, it wasn't.
everyone and their grandma was singing the game's praises, there was one person who wasn't exactly satisfied with its success. Telltale CEO, Kevin Bruner. Bruner was the one who designed the Telltale tool, the game engine used to make all of Telltale's games. While The Walking Dead was receiving awards left, right, and center, Bruner wasn't getting nearly as much credit for his work behind the scenes as he thought he deserved. Instead, it was the writers and directors, Sean Vanneman and Jake Rodkin in particular, who were getting the spotlight. This irked Bruner.
I can see why he would be jealous, but at the end of the day, what makes The Walking Dead good, at least for me, is the story, right? And the decisions are also good and all that, but it's mostly the story. Like, I think Lee was a phenomenal character, and definitely like S tier as the main character for you to play.
Who felt that his contribution was just as important as theirs, and he took things kind of personally. Moving forward, Bruner more or less forbade creative leads from talking to the press about Telltale games. Bruner wanted to be the only one allowed to take interviews, be on panels at conventions, and have quotes featured in magazines.
I see, he wanted to glaze himself, right?
He wanted to be seen as the creative force, and he was also afraid that if people like Vanneman and Rodkin got too much of the spotlight, they'd leave the company and start projects of their own. This led to a very tense environment at Telltale, with many describing Bruner as the Eye of Sauron, watching their every move. These internal issues were exacerbated when Bruner made the decision to rapidly expand production in 2013. At the time, Telltale was just finishing up their next game, The Wolf Among Us.
Wolf Among Us, another S tier. Maybe even above The Walking Dead, I'm not gonna lie. The problem with this one is we never got The Wolf Among Us 2, which sucks because the ending of 1 was open-ended. You know, it was like super obvious they wanted to make a second part, but they never did it.
And we're trying to figure out what to make next. With the success
Maybe it wasn't popular when it came out?
Of The Walking Dead, Telltale had the capital and the reputation to license some of the biggest IPs in Hollywood: Batman, Guardians of the Galaxy, Game of Thrones. Over the course of a few short years, the studio exploded to over 300 employees, and Telltale signed on to create several different games for licensed IPs, promising to do for them.
So, this actually happens a lot in companies, but when you expand too fast, you just end up making mediocre things. Because you can't teach the new people fast enough.
What Telltale already did for The Walking Dead. On paper, the increase in manpower meant Telltale should have been able to put out games faster and more efficiently.
No.
But in practice, hiring 200 new employees meant the office quickly turned into a faceless mass of cubicles and middle management. Whereas the team that made The Walking
Dead... It also means you have to go through 20 hoops just to end like one little interaction or something.
Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us were a tight-knit crew who had been working together for a long time. Their releases from 2014 onward were made by a larger, younger, and less experienced
let's see, wait.
Their releases from
Tales from the Borderlands, I think I saw some of that, but I wasn't a fan. Minecraft Story Mode, it was alright. It was like entertaining, but it was pretty much, let's be honest, shit. The Walking Dead Michonne, that's the black lady with the machete, I think. Right? Didn't watch it, if I'm honest. Didn't watch anything The Walking Dead after the first 3 seasons. Batman, good. And that's about
2014
it. Didn't see New Frontier.
Onward were made by a larger, younger, and less experienced group. The size of the studio got too large too fast. To make matters worse, Bruner started to become increasingly overbearing and inflexible, micromanaging every part of the development process and wanting everything to be tailored to his own personal taste.
Yeah, you gotta kick him out. I mean, it's 2v1, right? Like I'm guessing it's 33 share in the company. You should be able to kick him out, right? He's ruining the company, right? By being toxic.
For the creatives at the company,
Just get him
this
out.
was exceedingly difficult because they'd have some amazing idea that they wanted to share or some new way of telling a story, and they'd almost always get shot down by Brunner. It
Yep.
must have been a nightmare working for this guy.
Well, it's his way or the highway. Like literally, you're going out the company.
Having the Grinch as your boss. Thankfully, this Christmas season, we've got a game that will thaw even the chill.
This should be Raid, I'm guessing. Which, to be fair, having a clear vision and a lead in a game is incredibly good. For games. Like, there's often a lot of games that rely too much on community feedback, and it just ends up making the game worse because it goes against the ideals or like the core value of the game.
Parts. And the best part? It's free. Watcher of Realms is a strategy RPG you need to start playing. They've got samurai, dragons,
Like, for example, skipping the story of an RPG, like in Diablo 4.
Sun Wukong, Dracula, and
That's
even
just
the
a cool.
Joker. With Christmas right around the corner, we're in festive in-game events. You'll earn up to 123
Yeah,
Christmas
Raid
gift
Shadow
code.
Legends, right?
Is there are 3 Grim? We focus progressing different tools, 200 heroes, codes, arrows, and click the
Oh, never mind, it's
out on the
Watcher of
battle
Realms.
and
That's
scan
the
QR
Witcher game, I think.
code to download Watcher of Realms for free now on
Yeah,
PC,
if you like
Android, and iOS.
those games, go for it.
And don't forget to redeem the gift code, get 10 free draws right away to test your luck. Okay, back to the video. It didn't take long for people to say enough was enough. Sean Vanneman, Jake Rodkin, and The Wolf Among Us writer Adam Hines felt that Brunner
He looks like such a nice guy, doesn't he?
was stifling their creativity. In 2013, Vanneman and Rodkin both left to start a new studio, Campo Santo, putting out the critically acclaimed Firewatch 3 years later. In 2014,
Unpopular opinion, Firewatch is good, but it's not as amazing as people make it out to be. Like, maybe it's just me. I played it. I also watched it, I'm pretty sure. Like, someone else play it, and it was cool, but it wasn't anything next level.
Hines went to co-found a new studio called Night School, who put out one of my personal favorite games of all time, Oxenfree.
This one's in the App Store. You can play the first part for free. Up until you get to like a cave, like this one. I think the demo ends here. But you can play this one on phone.
Both of these games had similar elements to Telltale games in that they were narrative-driven with a heavy emphasis on decision-making, but they were also innovative in ways that Telltale games were not. And in the coming years, it would
I didn't play it all, by the way. I stopped at the demo.
become clear that
It
Telltale
wasn't
was
interesting
being
enough
left
for me.
behind as the game industry was moving forward. One of the big sticking points was the game's engine, the Telltale tool. Kevin Brunner was the one who designed the engine way back in 2005. Since then, 2 generations of game consoles had come and gone, and the engine was becoming increasingly limiting and inefficient. Employees begged him to switch.
When it comes to engines, it really matters. What matters the most is the style. For example, The Walking Dead. Let's see if you can. Like, this style doesn't really improve with realism. In fact, I feel like it gets worse the more like high definition it is. Because it's like what's it called? It's like cartoon or like hand drawn. So it looks like almost like a gum or clay or something when they move and they're like in high definition.
Over to something
Maybe it's just me, by the way. I could be wrong about this.
more modern, like Unity or Unreal Engine, but were continually met with the same stonewall replies. It would take
Like, no, not clay.
months to switch over, during which time they wouldn't be able
Rubber. It's like a rubber moving. You know what I mean?
to work. The Telltale tool is what gives Telltale games their identity. Most of these just sounded like excuses because Brunner wanted his tool to be the one the games were made on, and everyone just had to resign themselves to using the archaic engine. It didn't help that Telltale were also in charge of multiple billion-dollar IPs. The pressure to deliver for Game of
Good Meh, good. I've never seen this. I've actually never seen the Game of Thrones. I mean, people just love it so much. I've just never bothered watching.
Thrones, what they did for The Walking Dead meant that Brunner was strongly against taking any risks whatsoever. He wanted to keep rehashing the same thing over and over with a fresh coat of paint, trying to emulate The Walking Dead in a new context. This approach was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it meant brands got exactly what they were asking for, but it also meant it was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it meant brands got
It looks like he's laying down, right, like this. He's not actually sitting.
Exactly what they were asking for. But it also meant that all of their games started to feel the same. The first time you're faced with a decision that will permanently kill a character, it's shocking. The 10th time, it's predictable. Pretty quickly, Telltale started seeing a decline in sales. With a studio of 300 employees and multiple game licenses to pay for, Brunner couldn't afford to let things slip away. He had to turn things around quickly. So, his solution was
Ego. Make the game
was
himself.
to work his employees to the bone.
Oh.
He wanted more games, faster turnaround, higher output. Telltale went from working on 1 or 2 games simultaneously to working on 3 or more.
The same 4 games, actually.
To get everything done, Brunner began crunching his employees relentlessly. 5-day work weeks stretched to 6 or 7. 8-hour days increased to 12 or more. The work culture at Telltale Games became one of the most toxic in the industry, and there was a constant churn of veterans leaving the company only to be replaced by junior developers and writers fresh out of school. These new employees didn't.
Well, the problem is, when you're a veteran, you have more options. So if the workplace becomes toxic, you can just leave. That's the problem, right?
Have the same
with being
experience
toxic.
as those they were replacing,
Well, it's not the problem. Like, being toxic in itself is a problem.
but
yeah.
they were naive enough to accept the 80-hour work week as normal. Unfortunately, the increased output resulted in Telltale oversaturating their own market. They were putting out so many games for so many different IPs, there was no way for sales to keep up. The games were still fairly good, but people can only play so many games at a time. An increased release schedule can't fix that. To top things off, other adventure games like Life is Strange were taking.
I don't understand the like for Life is Strange, by the way. I've tried watching it, but it's super boring for me. I'm not sure why. It just seems like, like I could go outside and like do this. You know what I mean? Like, except the time traveling aspect.
Taking the genre in exciting new directions.
Maybe it's because it's overly emotional.
While Telltale was stuck rehashing the same formula over and over. The result was a team of increasingly inexperienced creatives being worked to the bone, forced to put out suboptimal games before they were finished. The pot came to a boil in 2017, when the tension between Brunner, the employees,
2017, that's before COVID, which means that was the last Walking Dead game with the little kid who grew up. And then she has like another like male kid, right? Or something.
upper management, and Telltale's board of directors bubbled over. Brunner was politely asked to step down from his position and left the company later that year. In the aftermath of his departure came a sort of bliss. One source says, quote, "I didn't realize how much we had learned to hold ourselves back from thinking big. We'd really been trained to think small, and realizing that was a freeing experience. But the honeymoon wouldn't last long.
But I thought the studio closed down.
In September of 2017, Pete Hawley, former SVP and GM of games at Zynga, was named the new
Zynga is the mobile game Farmland or something?
CEO, and he immediately laid off 25% of the company. To be fair, those working at the company didn't really hold it against him. Many believed the layoffs were inevitable, the result of years of mismanagement and a logical correction after the company aggressively scaled up back in 2013. Despite the layoffs, things seemed like they might actually be looking up for Telltale. Hawley decided to switch off the Telltale tool and began moving development over to the Unity engine. Telltale announced a few new projects, and many hoped they could
Yeah, this kid, and we have Valentine, that's her name, right? Valentine or something? This was the last Walking Dead season, if I'm not wrong.
recaptured the same lightning in a bottle they did with their earlier releases. However, on September 21st, 2018,
isn't she lesbian or something? Thinking about it?
Everyone got blindsided. Telltale was shutting down. Most of the employees didn't know what hit them. They received an email about a meeting in the morning, and at that meeting, they were told to pack up all their belongings and vacate the building immediately. Apparently, Minecraft Story Mode Season 2 and Batman Enemy Within didn't sell well enough to justify keeping the lights on, and those in charge decided to shut it all down. Telltale would keep on
The Enemy Within. Is that the one where he gets trapped in a water tank or whatever? Meh.
skeleton
Makes
crew
sense.
of 25 employees to finish any active projects like The Walking Dead final season, while everyone else was being let go. In the aftermath, people began taking legal actions. Fernie Roberts filed a class action lawsuit after the company closed with less than a day's notice, no severance, and without filing for bankruptcy, all of which were in violation of California's WARN Act.
Okay.
Kevin Bruner sued the company for financial damages after being forced out by the board of directors. It was a hot mess of finger pointing, but at the end of the day, it was the end of an era. Despite doom and gloom surrounding the Telltale games specifically, there is still a hunger for the kinds of games Telltale was known.
Yes, The Wolf Among Us 2, I swear there was news about that like a year or two ago, right? They were like making it, like ex-developers or something?
Known for. Several ex-Telltale employees, including Nick Herman, Denis Lenart, and Pierre Choret, recently put out a new game called Dispatch, which took the internet by storm.
Yeah, people love this one. I thought it was okay. Sorry. Like, in terms of humor, I'm not the biggest fan of just say curse words and then it's like funny, you know what I mean?
It has a similar framework to those old Telltale games, but it also has tons of new features that make it feel fresh in 2025. Peaking at more than 130,000 concurrent players on Steam in its first
Pretty
week
big
is
launch.
proof that narrative-driven adventure games still have a place in modern gaming. You just have to be willing to innovate, and also work with the cast of Critical Role. The story of Telltale Games is a cautionary one, remembering that great games are not the result of one person, but many.
a team.
If those writers
Yeah.
who made The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us had been given the room to be creative, to try new things and experiment, who knows if Telltale could have survived a little
Yeah, you don't know
longer.
for sure.
Unfortunately, ego got in the way, and yet another great studio fell to the wayside.
I mean, he didn't mention the fact that it wasn't like the whole decision making wasn't actually like real, which is like the main complaint I've heard people talk about in terms of the later series. Anyways, I'm gonna leave the link in the description in case you want to watch this video. Give it a like, all that. Peace. I'm back.